Welcome back to our special episode of the Shift Points podcast. We're here with Randy Edmonds. Randy has been super nice in letting Shift Points cover these race recaps that for the Southeast Gasser Association. This past weekend, they were up in Xenia. Am I saying that right?
Yeah.
Xenia, Ohio, at the Kilcare Raceway. I've seen some pictures and some of the footage that went on this weekend. It looked like you guys had a really good weekend of racing.
It was a good weekend of racing. The crowd wasn't what we expected because they called for rain. They called for like 60% chance of rain at 1 o'clock on Saturday, and we never got a drop.
It seems like it rains every day now.
and you know, people don't realize what that does to events
Yeah.
everywhere. You know, I mean, they get out there and they just say, "Well, it's going to rain," you know.
Yeah. I mean, I'm bad for it too. You know, if there's a good chance of rain, I'm probably just going to pack it up.
Yeah, I mean, we figure it probably, 400 or 500 people probably.
Yeah.
You know, so. But anyway, it turned out to be a really good event. You know, the track was just fabulous on Friday night.
Yeah.
And my thoughts on Friday night was, boy, we're going to have a good one tomorrow, you know. And it was a good race, but the track just kind of went away on Saturday.
Really?
Maybe the heat.
Yeah. Was it pretty hot up there?
It got hotter on Saturday.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And it was kind of like, one time, one round it would be better than other rounds.
Right.
One lane would be better than the other lane, So
That's hard to balance that, just following drag racing for all those years and watching it, like the NHRA stuff. There's always some tracks that have just, no matter what they do, it's like one lane has a distinct advantage over the other. How do you guys battle that? I know that this is kind of off the cuff question, but how is it that you can balance the lanes as much as possible?
Well, it's basically, as far as the drivers go, they can, whoever's got lane choice can change lanes all the way up to the water box.
Okay.
If you pull in the water, you can't do it.
Gotcha.
Before you pull into the water, you can change lanes.
Okay.
And that did happen this weekend, I think.
Oh, really?
Well, it was going to happen, and it ended up not happening on one occasion there. But that's what the drivers do. As far as us, we're pretty much at the track workers.
Mm-hmm.
That they pretty well should take care of the track.
Okay.
And what we saw this weekend was we use VPSLR, which is started line resin.
Okay.
We used to use gold dust, and these guys up there were using gold dust, and then they were spraying PB over it, and then I went to the truck and got the SLR, and it was just kind of back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
We never did really get a good hold on the track on Saturday. And that kills the wheels up.
Yeah, right. So I guess that would be. I'm just thinking out loud, but I assume that's probably something that you get back from the racers. That if you try to enforce this wheels up rule, that you guys have, they can say, well, the track's not good enough to do this.
And I agree with them. This weekend,
right.
It wasn't there. Some were doing good. You got cars that are going to stand up no matter what.
Yeah.
They'll stand up on ice.
Yeah.
Just about, But then there's some cars that, it's just the way they're set up, and, if they leave too high, they're going to blow the tires off from it. If they leave too low, they're going to bog.
Yeah.
And there's no stutter. There's no, you're leaving on your ear.
Yeah.
So it's a feel or whatever, and we've had a lot of races lost this year by people leaving too high.
Really?
And just blow the tires off from it.
Gotcha.
And these guys have got a lot of horsepower now, especially A-gas.
Yeah. What is I think we talked about this as the first one, and forgive me for forgetting, but what's a rough number of horsepower in the A-gas class?
I would say somewhere around 1,000 on
really?
Cars. Some in 900,
yeah.
1,000 somewhere in that area. That's not something that you hear them talking.
Right.
But there's some big horsepower out there.
Yeah, man.
Of course, in A-gas, there's some big dollars out there too.
Right, of course. Yeah.
And but it's especially the big blocks. If you leave high on the big blocks, they're going to blow the tires off of it.
Yeah.
I know, and then small blocks too. Also, Kenneth's our only really competitive small block we've got out there now in Silver Streak too, and I can't remember where it was at, a race or two ago there. He just blew the tires off from it from leaving real high.
Really?
You know, so, but it's a small block with a lot of horsepower.
Right. Yeah.
So he's number one qualifier of the past two events before this one.
Wow.
So he's right there with the big blocks.
That's great.
It is.
I mean, it's cool that they can pull that off. I mean, yeah.
But when it's got Gene Fulton on the side of the car, you know a small block.
It's probably going to be okay.
Yeah.
He tends to know what he's doing, I think.
Yeah, on the small blocks for sure, and then the big blocks. You know, one of his big blocks won the A-Gas this weekend.
Did it? Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Well, yeah. Sorry, that was a little random question, but it just got me thinking about that. How you guys are able to balance the track, and then I could see the pushback you could get on some rules on some of that stuff. So just interesting.
On Friday, this Kill Care is a really great facility. They've got a lot of really good equipment, and they brought a traction meter or something out there. You see some of the fuel guys in NHRA out there.
It's like a big pad. Do they have like a torque wrench on it or something?
It's kind of like a torque wrench.
Yeah.
This one they had wasn't very big.
Okay.
But he came out there with it, and he said normally on a bracket race night the number would be 230.
Okay.
We were hitting 300.
Whoa.
So and he checked it several different places, but I'm sure it wasn't nowhere near that on Saturday.
Right.
And that affects, that affects everything. But I mean, we still had, some good wheels up, on several different cars. I know one time Ben Christopher did just a power wheelie off the line. It just kept bringing it up there. There's a video of when he was running Leslie, and he's out the window beside Leslie, and it's just a beautiful shot.
I'll have to look at that. I hadn't seen that one, I don't think.
Yeah, so that was the one I sent you where he was having to drive.
Oh, yeah. I was paying attention to him driving it so much I wasn't looking at the other car.
Yeah, that's the one where Leslie was having to drive a little bit.
Gotcha. Yeah. That is amazing on these cars, and that's the other thing I kind of observed following it pretty close this weekend, just the footage that I saw. But these guys are having to drive these cars. I mean, they're not just strap it in and drive it down the line. They're driving the wheels off of them.
You got to drive with one hand and
shift with the other. Yeah.
You noticed he was having to jerk his hand off the shifter to get over and grab the wheel.
Yeah.
But
there's some major talent to do this,
A lot goes on in heads up, first to the finish line, Southeast Gasser Racing. From the water box to the finish line. They're very busy in the car.
Yeah, and if you guys haven't seen these videos, like Southeast Gassers, they put them up on their Facebook and stuff, and check them out. The in-car stuff is what's really amazing, like Randy was saying, just them having to go back and forth, and they're shifting and trying to keep the car straight, and yeah, it's a handful, and it gives you a new level of perspective on what's going on out there.
Then if you look at that's 55 Chevy that we're looking at there. It's a little longer wheelbase, so it's a little easier to drive than say Quain's little Anglia.
Yeah, those things, they have to be a handful. What's the wheelbase on one of those Anglias? Because I think a 55 is like 112 inches, or is it
94? I think maybe
on a 55.
No,
on the Anglia.
On the Anglia.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Yeah, that's drastic.
94, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
And then we've got Scott Butler. In his little car, it's a Morris Minor, and it's a very short car.
Yeah,
it's a 58 Morris Minor.
Okay,
and so it's a very short car also.
Yeah. I didn't even really think about that, but those things would be a handful.
Yeah, there's some driving goes on.
Sometimes. Oh yeah. Well, hey, real quick before we dive into the full-on race recap, and we kind of got some random questions in there. We had a couple guys come up to us at the car show we were up at the Trinity Car Show and talk about this, and they really enjoyed it, and they really enjoyed you, and had kind of come to find us because of this. So first, I want to appreciate you for that, making that possible. But but it's also, I thought you would like to know that. I thought that was pretty cool.
That's good. I mean, it's we need to get the word out there.
Yeah, exactly.
And we've got, just like we were saying in I think our first one, that we're within 3.5 hours of 5 or 6 of our races.
Yeah, exactly.
Where we're sitting right
now. Yeah, we're kind of in a hub here. Yeah. So if you guys found us because of the Southeast Gassers and because of Randy, man, we really, first I want to tell you guys that we really appreciate you doing this and tuning in and listening and subscribing. Subscribing to the YouTube channel is really massively important and helps us out a ton. So if you guys haven't done that, I'd really appreciate you doing that and pressing that button. I want to get that in here right here just so that it's out there.
And another thing there, Southeast Gassers is, we are able to do this by fans in the stands.
No, absolutely, 100%.
More fans we got in the stands, the better off it is for the whole organization, the racers, and everything. We can continue to do this.
Yeah.
As long as we get fans in the stands.
That's good.
Just like we were talking earlier, the rain and everything has hurt a lot of events this year.
A bunch.
And just like they was calling for 60% chance of rain, and it didn't rain a drop.
Yeah.
So.
What do you do?
Yeah.
Yeah, you just have to kind of guess a little.
The last race was delayed because of rain.
Yeah, right. I'd forgotten that. Yeah.
So that really hurts the fan count.
Yeah, that would.
Yeah.
Well, if we want to, we'll just go ahead and dig into the race if you want to, Randy.
All right, sounds good. I just wanted to touch on something here that we talked about previously on the gas class itself.
Yes, kind of the definition of gasser.
Yes.
Okay.
It actually came about when NHRA was trying to find a place for the engine transplants to go.
Okay.
So you had a Cadillac engine and a 40 Ford.
Okay, gotcha.
And then there was rules on. They came up with the gas coupes and sedans.
Okay.
Was what it was basically called. Was the name of the class. Gas coupes and sedans, but it was just easier to call them gassers.
Gassers.
and they were, of course, gas cars.
Yeah.
And so that's where you end up with the engine setback. So there was no. They did it off the number one spark plug and the axle.
Yeah, right.
And so that's how they came up with that, because there's no set position for an engine to be in a car it wasn't supposed to be in.
Yeah, understood. Yeah, that makes sense.
And so that's how that came up. I just wanted to clarify that.
No, I'm glad you did.
Yeah, and but Quayne straightened me out on that.
That's good. I imagine he probably knows a thing or two about it.
He does. But then another thing I wanted to mention, when we were talking about H-gas at London, and we had the biggest field we'd ever had, Mike and I got to talking about something else, and I forgot to mention John Bish.
Okay.
He's got the little Spitfire Triumph.
Okay.
And or Spit 6 Triumph.
Okay.
And it's got the little 230 cubic inch engine that I had.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And Robert Reeves.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Robert went on the Power Tour.
Yep. Yeah. I met him on Power Tour. Yeah. He's got the gray car. What is
Hudson.
it? Hudson. Yes. Yeah, he done a lot of neat work on that car.
Flathead 6-cylinder with a turbo.
With a supercharger, right? Supercharger. Yeah. He built like a special enclosed box to enclose the carburetor for that to work. Yeah, it was neat. A lot of neat work there.
Yeah, he's a very intelligent man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Robert Reeves.
Okay.
But he built that little engine.
Okay.
And I ended up buying it out of a car in Haywood County. And I didn't want to sell it, but John was struggling a little bit with the engine that he had, basically a stock 250. And so we were just going to drop it in his little car and see what it would do, was what I was wanting to do.
Right.
But the minute they heard it start up, they had to have it.
They had That's a pretty good sign for an engine right there.
And but he went out, I think he gained a second his first pass.
Whoa.
And
that's a mile.
Anyway, yeah. And John's done well. He won the first race in it.
Really? Okay.
And but I just overlooked John on my list when Mike and I were talking, and I just wanted to bring him up there. And then just everybody say a prayer for John. He's got to have some surgery. He's not going to be able to race with us the rest of the year.
Okay. Yeah, definitely do that.
Christina, they've been with the H-Gas. They bought their car because of H-Gas was beginning to roll.
Okay.
And but they'll be back with us next year, and he's got some plans on what's going to go on with the car over the winter.
Cool. Good.
But speaking of H-Gas, we didn't have but 2 H-Gas cars there. We had Robert Frazier in black and blue. It's a black and blue racing. It's a Barracuda.
Okay.
And it's got it's a AMC 6.
Okay.
In it. I'm pretty sure it's what it is. But he lives just right across the mountain in Bristol.
Okay.
And
yeah.
Robert and Rita Frazier, they're great people. He has ran in AFX, H, A-Gas, and I'm probably missing something here. He may have ran in every one of them.
Right. Yeah.
He's ran several different classes.
Wow.
Since this all started.
A question. Sorry, before I just had this thought. I don't want to lose it. Is there certain area, or is there certain races that you guys go to that has like more dominance in a class, like more cars show it? Like, I was just curious if it's fairly even depending on all the races you go to, or if there's certain racetracks that you go to that have more of a certain class, or is it pretty even?
It's probably pretty even on that. We always have more cars at Knoxville. Knoxville's kind of the center location.
Right.
And then Shadyside.
Okay.
We've had as much as, I think, 121, 122 cars at Shadyside.
You raced the first and last race at Shadyside, right?
No. Second and the last.
Okay.
This year.
Okay, this year. Okay.
They had Reynolds, Georgia first race.
Okay, understood.
And then, Knoxville is always a really good race for us.
Okay.
We actually bumped it up to 2 races there this year.
Okay.
And so that's always a good fan count there.
Good.
And I think when we went there last time, I can't remember how many people we had, but we did have a good number there last time. And we've always had good numbers at Knoxville.
Right.
And
it's amazing that area of just Tennessee in general. East Tennessee is kind of a hub for racing and cars and stuff. There's a lot of people that's really interested in it, in that area, Knoxville and Bristol and stuff like that. Yeah, that doesn't surprise me.
Yeah. But there was only 2 cars in HGS. We had Robert Frazier, and he took the win against Todd Hines in the Studebaker. And then Rob Walden won AFX again. I'm not sure how many. He's 2 or 3 wins this year, maybe 4 wins in AFX this year. Set the record.
Okay.
First in the 5s in AFX.
Really? Wow. Yeah. That's good.
And he's driving Rocky Platt's car because Rocky had to have shoulder surgery.
Okay.
So and he builds the engine in the car too. Rob Walden is, your dad and I talked about him being Lamar Walden's son.
Mm-hmm.
He builds several engines.
Okay.
And throughout the Southeast Gas Association. And then Superstock, Rick Marner again. He won. That's his 6th win this year.
Whoa.
Randy Kiefer was runner up in the Pontiac wagon.
Okay.
Good looking, good running car. But Rick puts on a show. He almost drags a back bumper almost every pass and stuff. Yeah, and
that's
it's on that little 7-inch tire. And it was his 6th win this year. He's number 1 qualifier again, and I think that he's 45 points ahead with 3 races to go.
Okay.
So, barring anything happening, he's probably pretty well got it.
Got it pretty good.
I mean, if he shows up for all of them, which he should, And then going into C-Gas, Todd Oden and Double X 58 Chevrolet is number 1 qualifier, and he's 2nd in the points. But Ricky Jones took him out in the semifinals, and then he and Tim Hall met in the finals.
Okay.
And Tim won. Tim's multiple winner this year. I should have looked all that up and see how many wins he's got, but he's got a 30-point lead.
Okay.
Going in with 3 races to go. But I think that was Ricky's 2nd final since he's been racing with us in the Stud Muffin.
Okay.
That's a championship C-Gas car also.
Really?
And Tim was our last year's champion, so he's going for 2 in a row.
Mm-hmm.
Rick Varner was also champion in Superstock last year, so he's going for 2 in a row. No one's ever done that.
No one's ever done 2 in a row, really?
No one's ever done 2 in a row. It looks like Rick and Tim could be the first ones to ever do it.
Cool.
And then going into B-Gas, Kevin Bird again. I mean, we talked about Kevin last time as being kind of just sneaking up on him a little bit here there, and he's number 1 qualifier again. And he went out in the 2nd round to Sean McLemore. Sean's part of the Tennessee Hillbillies.
Okay.
Bunch of characters there. But Sean's wife Tasha races now with us. She's in a 55 Chevy. And then his brother-in-law, Scott Butler, which I mentioned a little earlier, in the 58 Morris Minor called a Little Varmint. It puts on a show.
Yeah.
And but he's got a new engine, and he looked good this weekend.
Getting it figured out there.
He's he's right there. I think he's going to be right there. But Daniel Haynes, first win of the season in the Patriot Falcon.
Okay.
And he's one of the low budget teams.
Good.
He does all the work himself, as far as I know. He's I watched him building that car several years ago.
Really?
And that's another one of those great families. Mary Beth, his wife, backs him up, and she's one of our main backup girls. She's on the line all the time. She dresses the Patriot part, and then the car is painted like a flag.
Right.
And also their son Nick helped us out this weekend. We put an official shirt on him, and he ran charts for us.
Oh, there you go. That's good.
For us and stuff, And then his daughter Reba, she's one of the trophy girls.
Okay.
So the whole family's
It's all involved. That's awesome.
His brother Kim, he's usually there, but he couldn't make it this past weekend. He missed his brother winning.
Yeah.
But anyway, it was
his brother's going to not let him come no more. That'll be racers are superstitious, man.
Like I say, that's one of those another great families and stuff. Just think the world of them. And Sean McLemore was runner up, first time he's ever gone to the finals.
Okay.
And that was good. It was good. He's part of the Tennessee Hillbillies.
Right.
That's the whole Tennessee Hillbilly team. There's Denny Shepard and Scott Butler, and then Tasha and Sean, and then Todd Napier and Derek Napier.
Okay.
And then there was, I think, some more of them at one time, but they hadn't been showing up lately.
Okay.
But it was good to see Sean up there and stuff. He's real excited. Tasha was excited. They were all excited over him being there.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure.
Tasha's one of the ones that I was talking about, the ladies of Southeast Gassers.
Right.
The last time, there was all of them was there. But going into A-Gas, it came down to final round was Mitch Stott, Quain's brother and frequent flyer, 63 split window.
Okay.
And Leslie Horn and Chick Magnet.
Yeah.
And Mitch had some transmission trouble. And Leslie took the win. He cut the points lead in half.
Really?
Yeah.
Whoa, that's a big weekend.
Yeah. Going back to B just for a second, Ted McKee, I think he's got 50, 60 points on second place going into 3 to go. So he's he's pretty well wrapped it up.
Comfortable, yeah.
Yeah. And but back to A, Gabriel Burrell's points lead got cut in half this weekend. He went out in the early round. Mitch took him out. Mitch Stott, his uncle, or cousin, I guess, took him out. And Gabriel had some ignition problems or something because the car just fell on its nose on the track there. But I think he was out out him when he slowed down. Mitch went on by to take a win, and then he broke the transmission against Leslie. But I think it's 15 points going with 3 to go in A-Gas, and it's really our only tight points.
Real tight one.
That could go either way at this point.
Gotcha.
But we had a really good deal went on this weekend. Ron Vance, which is a manager at Killcare, he called me probably 3 weeks ago, and he said, you guys have cool down time later in the round, so you've got some dead time there. And we talked about what we could do, and Ron said, I know what we can do. He said, we can have a 16-car field of junior dragsters come in, and he said they'll fill that time. And I said, nope, that's not happening. I said, they're not 67 back.
No, that don't fit. That don't fit.
No, that don't fit, Ron. And then he said, all right, we'll think of something. And then we kind of went back and forth, and he told me, he said, well, I can come up with some money. He said the track will come up with some money to do something. And so what we came up with was all the people that went out in the first round, names went in the hat.
Okay.
Of all 4 points paying classes, ABC and Superstock. And then so Stephen Smith that does all of our merchandise in Southeast Gassers gear. He donated 4 hats.
Okay.
So we put all those names in 4 different hats. And the backup girls went up in the stands and got people to come down, and we drew 2 names out of each hat. And it was a hit.
Just a match race.
Yeah, basically
Oh,
a
that's
match
cool.
race, and to kill some of that time.
Right.
Ran them after the second round.
Right.
Killed a little of that time, and it was a really good deal. Everybody was appreciative.
That's super
The
cool.
fans, the fans
Love it. Yeah.
And then what I noticed was the drivers and crews of other teams came up
Right.
to watch
Yeah.
that too, and that
Of course.
was, that was really good. I think some of them split the money, and then some of them just took the money,
Right.
they won and stuff and everything.
Well,
But-
that's a great idea though.
It
You
was
know,
a
like I
very
said,
good
getting the
idea.
fans involved, that's awesome.
And so Superstock ended up being Taylor Bright in the Heartbreaker Barracuda.
Okay. Yeah.
And she's another one of those ladies, and
Yep.
she's getting better every pass. You can just see her. She's getting better every pass.
Yeah.
And Bryant Dalton in Falcon, and Bryant took that win.
Okay.
And then Rick Taylor in the Maverick, and Jaron Purdue in the Adams County Outlaw.
Okay.
And that's Adams County Outlaw's a 50 Chevy coupe, and then the Maverick's a 53 Chevy.
Okay.
And so Jaron took that win, but Adam Lowhorn and Ryan Pope were the big ass cars. Well, Adam Lowhorn is the rod slinger that drags the back bumper.
Oh, right. Yes.
Yeah, so he got to come back up and do his deal again.
Right.
And he and Ryan, they did a couple of dry hops and stuff, and it was really good. The fans. I was watching the fans when Adam come up to do his qualifying, and it was just amazing how many of them was standing.
There's a head of phone out. Yep.
It's just
Yep.
everywhere in the stands they were doing that.
I'm sure.
And they just packed their pits. They were over there. They were over there signing hero cards all day.
That's awesome.
Kids over there and stuff.
And that's how you grow it, right there, doing stuff like that and getting the word out.
But he got to come back out and he did his 2 passes in qualifying in the first round, and then he got to come back out and do another one. And we were going to let him come back out and do another one, but he was broke.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, he broke a water pump.
Oh, okay.
The electric motor on his water pump went out, and so we could have probably found him one or whatever, but we didn't. He didn't. I don't think he really wanted to fool with it that time.
Right.
It might have been, there was a few other little problems, and too, I think he bent his axle when he came down hard one time and stuff. So.
I don't know how he doesn't do it every pass. That's some aggressive launches that guy does.
He's great. And he loves it, and he loves dealing with the fans. And
Yeah.
stuff. But all of I started to say most, but all of our drivers and crew are great with the fans.
Yeah, I'm sure.
It's just, you'll see them taking pictures of kids in the car and just different things all the time.
And I think I read an interview that Quayne did a few years ago, him kind of talking about the start of the Southeast Gassers and stuff, and he was talking about his professional career, in pro mod and stuff like that, and how it became work to him. And this Gassers, he wanted that to make sure it wasn't that way. And I think that right there is the biggest part of that, making sure, that you remember you're here to compete, but you're having a good time and you want to, talk to the fans and do stuff like that. So it's cool to see that spirit kind of still be there, even after this long.
Yeah. Well, Ryan Pope was the other car there, and Adam ended up taking the win in that.
Okay.
But Ryan Pope, he don't race with us maybe once or twice a year.
Mm-hmm.
But he put on a show too. There, he was up there, and they done a couple of dry hops and stuff. So it was really good. The crowd was really into it.
It's amazing what dry hops do. Like, people love to see a dry hop.
Yeah.
When we first started the YouTube channel, we put out that first drag race video with Dad and all that, and there was a bunch of dry hops in it. And that was the number one comment we had. Man, I miss dry hops. Man, dry hops, that was so cool. What a cool time to be there. All this stuff I get, but it was always centered around the dry hop.
Well, and they did it back in the day for a reason,
Mm-hmm.
see what RPM to leave at.
Right.
And to go across the start, the patch.
Right.
Where they're starting at.
Right.
Is to put a little rubber across it.
Yeah.
And it makes a difference. Makes a difference, and I've noticed here lately, Quayne started doing them again.
Oh, really? Okay.
And then Michael Walters and Papa's Wild Willies, he started doing them, and he did some really good ones at London.
Okay.
And Todd Oden's been doing them. I think Todd might have had some rear end housing issues this weekend. I didn't see him do a dry hop, and that could have been the reason.
Right.
But he started doing them again since he's been running good here lately. And then going into A-Gas, Kenneth Phillips in Silver Streak 2, he red lighted first round.
Really?
So he got put into the hat, which is wouldn't be normal.
Right.
And then Greg Stelz, he had a wiring fire. He had a short, and it filled the cockpit full of smoke.
Oof.
So
that's scary.
Yeah. When we went to tell him, they jerked the door open and said, "Hey, we can't do nothing," and it was just melted wires on the steering column.
Man.
So that put Quayne in.
Okay.
That put Quayne in. So Quayne did a dry hop, good dry hop, for that and everything. And the fans, like you said, they really appreciate that.
Yeah, they do.
And then Kenneth got him, which, unless Kenneth red lighted or something, or had a really bad light, he's just so much quicker than Quayne's car.
Okay.
So he's just, like I say, he's been fastest qualifier the past two previous events.
Right.
So, that was a really good deal. And just to touch on the consolation race, we called it the Luck of the Draw consolation race.
Okay.
And I got on the phone with Wes Clapp at Knoxville today.
I was about to ask this question. Go ahead.
Got on the phone with him today, and we're working on a sponsor for it.
Okay.
He's got one in mind, and I already had that same sponsor in mind from over in Knoxville. I don't want to say anything right yet.
Right.
But I think it'll probably happen.
Okay.
And then he said he'd donate some Knoxville Dragway hats.
Okay.
To draw out of.
Okay.
And so that's something that's going to be there for the next race.
Cool.
I'm pretty sure.
I hope I can see that taking off.
Yeah,
I can see that being at every event.
I think that'll be a really good thing. I think the fans will love it. And then too, as the drivers get into it, maybe they'll start doing a little more dry hops because it's not a competition pass.
Right. It's purely it's fun.
Yeah. And they're getting out there, and if they split the money, or whatever, it's up to them what they do with it. But it can be a really good thing for the fans, for the drivers, that get to come out there and make another pass later in the day.
Yeah.
Instead of loading up.
Right. Right. And growing up and going to the drag race, that was the hardest time, that downtime, especially if you're a kid, if you've brought your kid with you and stuff. And I know Dad probably had his handful with me when I was growing up, but that downtime at the drag strip, that's so hard. And if you can feel it, even with just a little bit of something, that's always a good thing.
It is. It sure is. And it'll make a big difference in the whole deal, if we can do things like that.
For sure.
And, Knoxville, there should be a really good crowd there. We'll have a good car count there because it's so local to everybody.
Yeah.
And I need to mention a couple of new sponsors we had at Killcare. We had All Decked Out was the event sponsor.
Okay.
And they do deck restorations, cleaning, and things like that.
Okay.
Really nice people. Some of Randy Kiefer family.
Okay.
And it was a really good deal. I appreciate them. And then also we had a new sponsor come on this week, or this past race, Bonifani Clutches.
Okay.
And they're going to be the trophy sponsor for the rest of the year.
Oh, great.
And so glad to have them. Hopefully that's going to work into something a little more next year.
Mm-hmm.
And also we had O'Reilly step up, this Dallas Peffley, he and his wife Donna, they always go in a few days early and promote.
Okay.
So they went into O'Reilly's just to kind of see if they could put a flyer on the window. And the guy there, the manager, I guess, says, "Yeah, you want to get a bucket of cleaning supplies, car cleaning supplies?"
Yeah.
And so they loaned us a banner and give us a bucket of car care stuff.
Oh, that's cool.
And, car wash and
Yeah.
different things. I'm not sure. I never looked in the bucket. But anyway, Quayne goes out and asks who is drove the furthest. So I think the guy was from California.
The fans, like
Yeah.
you went in the state. Okay, I got you. Yeah,
He walks up and down the track and see who drove. You know, who,
Yeah.
who drove 500 miles, who drove
Mhm.
700 miles, who drove 1,000 miles. You know, whatever. But I think the guy was from California.
man,
They got the bucket.
that's awesome.
But he, and then of course hold the flag up, you know, the banner up, and took pictures, you know,
Right.
with O'Reilly, and really appreciate O'Reilly coming on.
Yeah, that's cool. That's super cool.
And we're going to see if we can probably do that at every event. now.
Yeah, kind of like O'Reilly's long hauler or something, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that was really good. And I mentioned to you before we got started is the guys from Ireland.
Yep. Yeah, I wanted to bring this up. Yeah.
We had, I think there was 4 of them from Ireland came. And they were just, Quayne brought them out and introduced them. And, of course, I didn't catch their names. But they were up on the track right there at the starting line for a few passes. And they were just thrilled.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Had cold chills on them. You know, it was up there doing this, you know. I mean, it was really good. A couple of younger kids, 14, 15 maybe. And they were just thrilled.
That's super cool.
We couldn't let them stay up there very long, but we ended up getting them off to the side over there, and they stayed right there at the fence for a good while. And I talked to them, and they were just thrilled. I'm not sure how they ended up here, if they were coming here for something else, but they knew about Southeast Gassers. I
Right.
talked to him and asked him how he knew about it, and he said YouTube.
Yep.
Said he saw something.
The wonderful world of YouTube.
And he said, I'm the motorhead. So he said, I've turned everybody else on to this.
That's cool.
So
That's, I mean, Quayne should take that. I mean, that's what a feather in his cap that he's built something that the whole world is interested in. And for it to be, you know, specific, you know, you'd think that most people wouldn't think about it. It's so specific, 67 back, you know, this, and it's worldwide. You know, these guys are coming from everywhere to see it. That's awesome.
well, and it's just like the old fellow in the 55 that is 83 years old.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, he didn't want to bracket race.
Yeah.
So he parked
it.
Parked the car, and it was stayed parked for years.
Yeah.
You know, and now he's came out to this one event. I didn't get the opportunity to talk to him or even really look at the car other than riding by it.
Right.
On the scooter. But good looking car. And from what I understand, they're going to do some work to it and maybe come out again.
Yeah, that's
and
cool.
Make some more passes in it.
Yeah, and to just elaborate on this a little, they posted it on their social media. Southeast Gassers did. I wanted to talk about it a little because I thought this was such a cool story coming into it. It's what Randy was talking about here. The guy's name is Tom Hans, and they were from. They raced in like Ohio, Kentucky, Indiana, Richmond, all in that area. He had a 55 Chevy, and it was a C-gas car. At least that's what he has on the door here, C-gas car. And like Randy said, they raced it, they street raced it, and then they kind of took it into the gas classes. And then when bracket racing took off and become, you know, kind of what it was and what it is today, they didn't want to do that. So they parked it. They wanted to do heads up racing, parked it. And then a few years ago, they found out about the Southeast Gassers, and they started kind of getting the car ready to bring out. And Tom is 83 years old, and he showed up last weekend in Ohio and made some passes in the car. And then, like Randy said, they're going to do some updates and bring it back. And that's what it's all about, you know?
It is, you know, and you hear a lot of stuff about, you know, that bracket racing, you know, that I guess I should say that a lot of people's got the idea that we as Southeast Gassers don't like bracket racing.
Right.
Bracket racing is just a different form.
Completely.
You know, I mean, it's a totally different deal than what we do.
For sure.
You know, I mean, you know me. I've been around it since I was little.
Of course,
You've
yeah.
been around it all your life.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, and it's just a totally different deal.
Right.
It's not that I've got anything against bracket
it.
racing. It's just my preference is heads up first to the finish line racing.
Right, of course,
You know,
yeah.
I mean, just like going to Bristol or going anywhere else. You know, I mean, that is what I wanted to see
Yeah.
when I went there.
Yeah.
You know,
No, I understand that completely. Yeah. Again, going back to when I was a kid, bracket racing was the most confusing thing for me to get understood as a kid. Why is this guy leaving before the other guy? Like, what? Why? You know, it made no sense because in my head, a simpleton, first to the line, you should win the race, right? And then breakouts and stuff like that. It was so hard for me to understand that.
Then you ran faster, but you didn't win.
Yeah, but you didn't win. Yeah, that was probably the hardest part to understand.
I think it was Zach Hall, one of our racers, that said it, and I agree with him 100%. He said that bracket racing, you should move the stands to the finish line.
Yeah, that's right. That's where the action is.
And Tara and I were parked this weekend down next to the finish line, just right past the finish line.
Mm-hmm.
It's an eighth and a quarter there.
Okay.
And well, they run to the 1,000-foot mark there too.
Okay.
So they've got 3 sets of lights down there, and but we were sitting down there, and it was so easy for me to explain it to Tara what was going on because we could see the board.
Yep.
We could see what they dialed. We could see their dial in. And This was Thursday night.
Thursday night, right before y'all started. Yeah. Okay.
And you could see their dial in. Then you could see what kind of light they cut.
Yep.
And then it held their dial up there, and then you'd see how much they broke out by or how much they made it in by.
Right.
So with us sitting there, and I mean, it was very easy for me to explain to her what was
going on.
By the time those cars got down there, I was telling her, you know, well, this guy's got to run this number. This guy's got to run this number. If he runs faster than that, he's out.
Right.
You know.
Yeah.
So,
and that's to give it its credit where it is. I mean, that's a test of man machine. Like, you got to be perfect. I mean, you've got that. Like you said, it's there's nothing wrong with it at all. That's its own animal as far as it goes to racing. You got to be perfect. You know.
I agree.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, and it's just like Bucky did it for years, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, and Jeff did it for years, and just like the 95 Oldsmobile that Jeff and Bucky's got, I mean, that car's deadly.
Right.
I mean, it's a consistent car. It's dead on all the time.
Right.
You know? It'll run 2 or 3 off the number all day long.
That's crazy.
You know.
Yeah.
So I mean, and that's what you want. You got to cut a good light. You got to run your number.
Yep. That's right.
You know, and then. But that's, I mean, it's just a different style. It's no different than dirt track racing to pavement racing.
Exactly.
Or outlaw sprints or whatever, you know.
Yep, exactly.
You know, I mean, it's just a different style of racing.
Yeah.
You know? And it takes, you got different fans.
Right.
For all of it.
Yeah.
You know.
But yeah, that's good.
You know.
Anything else about the event this weekend?
That's pretty much covers it. Let's talk a little about Knoxville.
Let's talk about it. It sounds good.
Right. We got Knoxville coming up on the 9th.
Yep, September 9th.
September the 9th, we'll be in Knoxville. That's a couple hours from here.
Yes.
And always a good time to go to Knoxville. Wes Clapp and Kristen. Great people on Knoxville now. They and then you got Roy and Kathy. That's their in-laws or Wes's in-laws, and they're right there with them. And I really enjoy going to Knoxville.
Yeah.
And there's like I say, I always have a good fan count there. I always have a good car count there. And going into Knoxville, that'll be 3 to go.
Yeah.
You know, so
it's going to tighten up a lot.
Things are tightening up there, and I think Shift Points is going to be there.
Yep, that was what I was going to say. So yeah, we're lucky. Randy's invited us to come down. We're going to be doing some filming and stuff. I think we're hopefully be able to talk to some of the racers, maybe the owners of Knoxville, and some stuff like that. What we're going to try and do is just kind of, if you can't make it to Knoxville, I want you to feel like you were there, as far as being, you know, in the pits and up in the stands and all of that stuff. So that's what I'm hoping to capture. Hope we'll see how well I do at it. This will be the first time at it. So.
And someone else I need to mention is Dylan Horton, DH Videos. He's looking forward to meeting you.
I'm excited to meet him too. That stuff, the DH Media that they put up and they do the recaps for the races and stuff. Man, that guy does good work.
He does. He does really good work. And but it's like I say, he's looking forward to meeting you and everything. And then I think your dad now, is your dad going to go?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I think as far as I know, yeah. I think me and him, and I think I've got a couple friends that are coming too. They just want to come see the gassers. They're excited about it. Yeah. So I'm bringing new people with me.
Right. Well, I was telling him the other day that you should do a deal like the Power Tour.
Yeah.
Just do a run over there.
Yeah, I think that's what we're talking about doing. It. I know you said you're going to do some parking for like some classic cars and stuff.
Yeah, there's going to be good parking for classic cars right up close to the track.
Fingers crossed, we can bring the Galaxy.
Good.
That's what I would. Good. That's what I want to do. And I think if there's going to be 4 of us going, there's plenty of room for 4 people in that thing. So I would. Let's see. I don't want to overpromise, but yeah, let's see if we can get the Galaxy ready and bring it. I think that'd be really cool.
That'd be good.
That'd be a nice little drive for it, kind of break it in a little.
Well, the Saturday night deal on Patton Avenue is the weekend before. So.
Right. So yeah, that's true. That would be a good test of it there. So that's what we're going to shoot for. So let's see.
Yeah. I'll probably come up on Saturday night before and hand out some flyers.
Okay.
I'm going to Poplar.
Oh, yeah, that's coming soon, yeah.
I'm going to be over there handing out flyers on the 26th of August.
Okay.
So,
yeah, if you haven't heard of the Poplar Car Show, man, it's a monster car show, and you're going to see some really, really nice stuff. I remember me and Dad went the first year of it, and we're blown away at how many people came to this remote little area in Poplar. It's a neat one. It's called Run to the Hills, right?
Run to the Hills.
Run to the Hills, yep.
And there's been 1,600 cars.
Yeah, gosh,
in some
that's
really top dollar cars there.
Yeah.
You'd be surprised, when you go in there and you're going there, you're just thinking, where am I going?
Yeah, it just winds back through there forever, seems like.
And then all of a sudden you just round one big curve and it just opens up, and then you start seeing the cars and stuff. So it's a really good show to go to. It doesn't cost you anything to get in. It's not like they're giving away awards or anything like that. It's just a bunch of car guys hanging out and having fun, talking. Seeing friends you hadn't saw in a long time. Mm-hmm. It usually takes me all day to just walk through because I end up talking to everybody.
That's how it always is with Dad too. Yeah. So that's good. So what we're saying is there's plenty of things to do over the next few months. If you're interested in cars and racing and any of that stuff, go do it because it's all out there. Patton Avenue, September 2nd. Southeast Gassers, they're going to be in Knoxville on September 9th. Run to the Hills, August 26th, you said?
26th.
26th.
The church where Fred Whitaker goes. What is it?
The Macedonia Church. Yeah, that's Sunday.
Yeah, they have their soup bean supper.
Yep. Yeah, that's coming Sunday. Dad keeps saying we're going to take the Galaxy to that, so we'll see. So maybe. We've promised it to be at a lot of places.
Yeah. It's all good stuff, if it don't rain.
Yeah, fingers crossed. I think we'll have some good weather. That'll be great. So
yeah, it'll be good.
All right. All happy? All good?
Yeah.
Good.
Appreciate you.
I appreciate you, and again, I want to say thanks so much for letting us do this. I enjoy it. I learn something every time that we're on here, and I hope that everybody that's watching does the same thing. Hey, if you guys have found us because of the Southeast Gassers, like I said earlier, thanks so much. We really, really appreciate it, and the best way that you can help this channel to grow is clicking that subscribe button. It's easy. It doesn't cost a penny, so do that. We would really appreciate it, and if you are at Knoxville, come see us. Like I said, me and Dad will be around. I think Jackson and Wynn, they're going to be around with us too. The other guys that do the regular podcast with us. So come see us. We would love it. I love seeing everybody, and it was really cool at the car show to have people come up and say that they really enjoyed the podcast and stuff with this. So I'm glad to hear that too. So thank you guys for joining, and we'll see you after Knoxville. We'll have some video out there too. So see you then.
Hope to see you at Knoxville.
Will do, yeah.